Hi and welcome to Mentally Yours, a podcast presented by Mehfooz by Simran, co-presented by Eduthon. And today I am sitting down with a woman who has worn many hats, be it an educator, a leader, and most of all, a good listener. She was born and raised in the vibrant city of Kolkata and she shifted to Punjab after her marriage. Currently, she is serving as the principal of Bhavan Vidyalaya Panchkula and she believes in the transformative power of listening to children. Under her guidance, the school has blossomed to great extents. So let's welcome Gulshan ma'am. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm absolutely fine, doing great. And how about you?
Doing really good, and I'm so glad I get to do this with you. So tell me, ma'am, how did your day look like usually and how was it today?
So my day, it starts early. And with my morning rituals, what I come to the school. And in my school, the day starts with Om chanting. So that's how it starts. So with Om chanting and then followed by musical meditation, the prayers, and the day starts rolling into the different activities, the hustle and bustle in the classes, and you're out on your campus looking into those beautiful faces, smiles, and the children getting engaged. And of course, the office routine work, which you'll have to attend
Yes.
to. So that's how the day is. So the day is like good, great. Today we had we had a wonderful day, in fact. I had my alumni walking to the school. They have organized a competition, a culinary competition. And these three they were from IIHMs, so one from Pusa Road, Delhi, one from Aurangabad, and they have come to judge the culinary competition of the little kids of class 6. And I was amazed the kind of things the children have presented, all international cuisine, and that too with Indianness to it. So it was a great day as such.
I mean, it's so, rewarding and at the same time fun also to come across such such great activities being conducted by children, and then on the other hand, young children participating in such activities. It's such a wholesome experience, I would say.
It was, because the seniors coming and hand-holding their juniors.
Yes.
What was the best a part of it is that, this seniors, the alumni, they actually gave them the sessions first. And thereafter the competition was held. So they came 2 days earlier to give them the session. Then they gave them the time to think over as what they want to make and present. And then they came for the judgment, and that was something very rewarding, both the sides.
Amazing. And I think it must have been a really good experience for the alumni as well.
Yeah, we found smiles, we found happiness, we found something that we were very proud of, that our children, they are still connected, they're coming, they're paying back to their institute.
Amazing. So, ma'am, you are coming all the way from Kolkata, right? It has so much of culture, such a vibrant city, people with, all sorts of art skills, into music, into art and whatnot. How do you think, your existence there has shaped up you being a leader in Punjab now?
Kolkata is a city, which we say is a city of joy.
Yes.
People love being there, the food, the culture, the way, the intellect. I mean, all get shaped up. And in fact, for me, it was like I was shaped up in Kolkata. The way I am today is because the way I was shaped up there. It had a profound impact on my grooming, the way I present myself, the way I talk. Because when I got married into Khanna, I came here in Khanna, after marriage. So the first year was a year of cultural shock.
Yes.
So from soft voices to louder tones, and then, I mean, it was like, something beating a drum around your ears, and you feel, oh my God, where have I landed to? But my family, I mean, the family I'm married into, it's an army family, so I didn't have that much of problem adjusting in the family. But yes, workplace was different. Workplace experiences were different, as in Kolkata and as in here. But then Kolkata shaped me in a manner that I was able to take and handle everything with calm and poise. So whatever came my way, I was able to accept and adapt to it without losing my roots. I think that's what Kolkata has made me.
Amazing. And as you shared that, people of Kolkata has this amazing sense of intellect. So do you think that maybe that was the reason you decided that you'll go into the education thing, and maybe as a child you thought of becoming a teacher?
I have always been very passionate about learning, and I had been a topper in my school life, in my college life, in my university. So, education is something which I was always very well connected to, and I never believed in, that surface atomistic learning kind of thing, but more of deep learning. So, and I had a lot of questions every time, and my teachers have very, very patiently answered all my questions. And that's what made me feel a respect for that profession, that where you don't say no to one when you are asking anything for, they are hand holding you and answering the things and making you walk through the things. That was my kind of experience with my teachers. So it always been very passionate. So with my friends, if they couldn't understand anything, I was the one who was explaining. So I know my joy was there in learning and in teaching. So somewhere when I was in class 9th, I taught the class junior to me. And I even worked in a school for a month. When I was in class 10th, I taught the class 8 children, and that was my school, my kindergarten school. It was like a school from nursery to 8th. It was just a middle school that time, and I was in a senior school. So my principal called me because she knew I was a topper and they need some teacher immediately, and they weren't getting. So she asked me, "Come, Gulshan, if you can just spend some time with the juniors and teach them for a month or so." So I taught them for a month. Wow. So that's from where I must say that I got that, yes, I'm for this.
So you really looked for a job after, probably your education was over, because, as you said, you had this career option in mind, that this is what you're inclined towards.
After my graduation, when I graduated, that was the year 1998, I graduated. I completed my BCom Honours from Goenka College of Commerce in Calcutta, and I applied for my Masters. I got in the day university. It started from 12 o'clock. So I had early hours with me. So I just wanted, why not use this early hours? And I applied for in St. Thomas's Church School, Howrah. That was the first school, as in like into a regular teaching profession. Although 1 month I have taught earlier, but formal teaching, as in, this was the school. And Mr. Jerry Arathan, he was the principal. He retired as the secretary ISCE board. So he was the principal under whom I worked. So when I went, I applied for the job, and the next day I got a call. It was just it was destiny, I feel, and their accounts teacher has left for Dubai, and they wanted a teacher. So I applied I was just a fresh graduate. So he accepted my this application, and when I went there, he saw me. I was just a young girl of 21. And he said, "Okay, so you want to teach?" I said, "Yes, I love teaching." So he said, "Okay, come along with me." And he took me to a class of 125 children.
No way.
And he left me there, and he said, "Okay, so go and teach. I'm on a round, I'll come back." And I went inside and I saw 125 boys and girls. And the first thing was looking at them and thinking what I need to teach to them. And I asked, "Okay, what's the chapter you are doing?" They said, "We are doing company." And I started with, company, that it comes from the word companies, means eating bread together. And then I narrated the story of Industrial Revolution, that is the Renaissance period, and the banquets that were held, and the Rialtos and the stock exchanges they had. And from there, I slowly built it on, that how this company form of business became popular. And it was like all Solomon versus Solomon and Company Limited, the case which happened, which gave popularity to this form of business. So by that time, the bell has rung and the principal came back. He felt there's nobody in the class. He peeped inside and he saw me. He said, come. And he said, when are you joining? So I have to tell him that, you see, I'm here, but I'm a student still. I'm doing my master's. So he said, that's absolutely fine. We'll give you 4 periods, 2 of 11, 2 of 12. And I was like, am I to take 11th and 12th? He said, yes. I was like, 11th and 12th, that's something which I wasn't expecting.
Yes.
But I loved my subject. I loved teaching. So I said, okay, sir, that's fine. So the first 1 year I was part-time. The second year asked me to be full-time, so I said, let me apply for in the university for the evening shift. So that was granted to me by the university, so I went in full-time. And then after 2 years, in the year 2001, 98, 99, 99, 2000, 2000, 2001. 2001, I got married. So I resigned from there. I left the school on 31st March and I got married here on 15th of April. So that's how the transition had been from
I think the
Kolkata
school
to
must be,
Kannauj.
In despair.
Yes. And in fact, my principal and on my farewell, he was like, he said that, this girl, I selected her, that 125 odd children, my senior teachers couldn't handle them because that was one of the notorious class. And this girl was able to, and there was a pin drop silence only because of 2 things. It's the content, what she had, and she knew how to deliver and connect. So for any teacher, if you have the content with you, the knowledge, the skills, the competencies which you say, and you know how to connect and deliver, that makes you a true teacher. And when you are able to reach out to the children, that's when you are indispensable as a teacher. So that was his way of selecting me, but then how true it is for everybody to select a teacher. Yes. And my vice principal that time was Mrs. Lauren Mirza. Again, I mean, these were the 2 stalwarts, I say, under whom I got mentored.
I think you're such a natural because, the first time you entered in a class and you started with the story, no context, nothing, and the children were hooked to it. You're such a natural, ma'am, I have to say. And I think, coming from a city where, they have people with so much intellect and culture, and then I think this gives you a lot of strength altogether. And did you ever think, you would be a leader? I mean, an educator for sure, but did you imagine this happening in, future? Like, would you be a principal?
I have been the school head girl. So I've been into that leadership role all the time. And then even as a teacher, I was very passionate just not to teach, but also to come up with innovative ideas, shouldering extra responsibilities. And my principal used to anything and you ask Gulshan to do it. And that's where, I remember my job here in Mandi Gobindgarh, I was in GPS after marriage, I joined this school. And the principal was Mr. Bahadur Singh. And he used to tell me that, Gulshan, you give intellectual respite because talking to you and interacting with you is kind of an intellectual respite which I get. And secondly, you perform beyond my imagination. And that is what makes you very special for the work that you give a touch to. So I remember he made me once a compare for a volleyball match. It was a national volleyball tournament which we were hosting, and it was the time when I have rejoined the school after my baby was born. And when I joined back, the national volleyball tournament was on in the school, and now the duty list was already circulated. So he looked at me, he said, there's no name of yours in the duty list, but you just can't come and sit here. You'll have to work. And so what you do is you go and compare in the court area, and you will have to kind of give a live commentary on the match which is being taken up. So I said, okay, fine. And I, being an accountancy teacher, teacher, I have to give a live commentary on a match, which is volleyball match, and I don't know anything about it. So I kind of did a little research. I went to the sports teachers, I asked them about the things, and then I was there on the ground giving the commentary, and I got the best of the compliments, because
Wow.
some of them, they said, what is your game, by the way? And they were those physical
That is one
education
good
teachers.
compliment, I would
I was
say.
looking at them and I said, I don't have any game. I'm an accountancy teacher. And they looked at me. Oh, you're an accountancy teacher. I said, yes. I said, we felt you must be a master of this volleyball. Might be you're a coach there. You are like commenting so well, and the running commentary is so impressive. And the people there in the audience, they were like, as if, we are listening something as in Wimbledon. And I was like, oh, that's wonderful. And there is when my principal called me and he said, Gulshan, you perform beyond our imagination. And that's what makes you different from others.
That is so good. I think you are one of the very few people who can relate the theoretical knowledge to practical. So right now, like before we started the shoot, ma'am was just looking at the light and she's like, it has a honeycomb structure and the light is being diffused. I think all of us see the phenomena happening, but we don't really, correlate when it's really happening. So I think I have seen the live example of that right now. Okay, so I think a lot of people face this problem that they don't know how to deal with difficult children, and because you have done so much in the education part of it, you must have dealt with difficult children as well. And as you said that in Kolkata you handled a crowd of 125 children. So how do you think we cater to these children, and what's the right way according to you?
Now, the first thing is that you need to reach out to them, and you can reach out to them only when you have time to listen to them. You need to listen in order to understand people well. So if you have so many noises inside your own brain, inside your own mind, you will not be able to listen the way it has to be. So if you listen them well, you'll be able to connect well. And when you're able to connect well, getting the tasks done or the things done is not difficult anymore. So the basic thing is that to be a good listener first. Listen to them, kind of relate to them, and then find out the root cause of their problems, try to address them in a manner that they are able to connect with you. I think that trust what you build in the process
Yes.
makes you, kind of indispensable for them, and they feel that yes, this is the person whom we can connect and relate to, then you can get the work done very easily. I mean, I feel no child is there who doesn't understand the language of love.
Absolutely.
So, loving children is important, instead of judging, instead of complaining. And when you will be loving them, you will be considering them as your own, they will start owning you, and that's what makes a difference.
Absolutely. I mean, as I was saying earlier also that we don't focus on the very basic concepts. I mean, like happiness, like active listening. Before moving forward, we need to connect to these concepts first and then build upon these concepts. So you really believe that we should be listening to children? Has there been an incident during your tenure here that when you listened to the children and it solved a major problem?
It happened, the year I joined this school, 2017, I have joined this school. And that was the time when there was a switchover from the CCE system to the board system. So the children were to take the board exams. And my both daughters, they joined the same school here. So the elder one was in 10th, very reserved and introvert kind of thing, so she was taking everything on herself. A younger one is very chubby, bubbly and very extrovert. She knows how to express. So for her and for them, I mean both of them, it was like again a kind of shift which was very big, because from a small town to a city, the expectations are different, the culture is different, so it becomes difficult at times. So this young one was very clear that, you see, I'll take time to be very proficient in English. So you'll have to give me time. So she used to speak to her teachers like that, ma'am, give me some time. I will definitely be showing up, but give me some time. I've come from Khanna and I'm here in Panchkula, so give me some time. And their exams were near, the units and all. And before units, academic rigor is what you get into.
Yes.
So every teacher coming into the class taking tests and tests and tests. So this little one used to come and say, why is it that you have to make us realize that we are going to take exams? You create a fear in us by making us, always pressured that take your test seriously, otherwise you'll not perform an exam. You don't do it for the functions. When there are annual days and all, you don't say perform well, you see annual days, I
can totally relate to her.
So why is it that you need to tell us? I mean, anybody coming, why are you so inhuman? You make us write. Our hands pain.
Poor
and there's
girl.
nobody who looks up to us and say, okay, now leave it, you need not write. It's one of my teacher who said, I can understand you have been writing for the long time, so don't need to write. My heart was to her. At least she is the one who realized this. I said, but it's examination and you should enjoy that. She said, what is left to enjoy? You make us feel so pressured. So I said, okay, we need to celebrate exams then. She said, celebrate it, but don't make us feel that there are exams. Let us also make it, in a manner that it's like an annual day. So we are very happy when there are annual days. So let it be like that in the life of your children, that examinations are also celebrations. So I said, okay, that's a beautiful insight given by this younger one. I said, this class 10th are going to have their board exams. Let me ask them. I went to the class and I said, children, it's board examinations this year. So are you excited about it? And they looked up to me as if I was an alien in their class. And they were like, ma'am, what do you mean? I said, let's celebrate exams. And they were like, sorry, but what is there to celebrate in it? I said, but why don't you want to celebrate it? So I said, okay, let's brainstorm reasons for not celebrating. And we started jotting down. And there were around 20 points they gave me. The whole of those 10 sections.
I think those are still less. 20 points are still less.
They gave me 20 points. They said, you see, you take an exam and you judge us on that basis, that these ones are the toppers and they become the favorites of the teachers, and this one are the below average performers. So they are always at the target line of the teachers, and the average, nobody even talks about them. So why is it that we should celebrate? We are not using the knowledge later. We just learn and we forget after that. So why should we even celebrate then? I'm glad CBSE is now switching over,
Yes.
From this rote memorization to competency based, and they are trying to make it relatable, applicable and all, applicable
Absolutely.
knowledge. So I'm glad for that there has been a change. Probably their voice has reached there. So
I guess.
maybe, yes. So this was all in the year 17. So I just felt that there's so much, locked inside. We need to open. And so I had Anupama in my team. So I said, Anupama, do one thing. Just be a listener. And we start with the concept of me time. It's my time. It's me time. I still have a me time room here in my school. So let's have a me time with the children. So she said, okay, what do you want me to do in the me time? I said, nothing, just listen to them. She said, okay, I should just be a listener. I said, yes, just listen to them. Because these children have nobody to speak to. As in, their parents are busy. Their teachers with 40 children to be dealt in 40 minutes. With their syllabuses around. I can't ask them to listen. So you just go and listen to them. So she said, okay, fine, I'll take it up. And she took those children to the me time room. I gave her a room on the top floor. So she took them, class 10th. And she said, you see, she announced, this is your time, this is me time. So you are free to do whatever you want. And I'm here to listen to what you want to do. And they said, oh, is that so? She said, yes. She said, the new principal has asked me just to listen to you. And they said, great. So we can do whatever we want. They said, yes. So she said, okay, do whatever you want. They said, we want to crawl. And class 10's children asking to crawl around. He said, okay, since I've been asked by the principal to allow you do whatever you want, okay, crawl. So they crawled. Then after crawling was over, they said, okay, now we want to scream. Is that allowed? So she told me, whatever the children say, listen to them and allow them to do. They scream. And they screamed at the top of their voice. I was like, knowing from the bottom of my heart, if I'll give them the me time, there will be some kind of moments like this. So in order to not disturb the school, I gave them the top floor on the other side of the block. So they screamed to the top of their voice. And then she said, okay, now what? They said, okay, now we want to lie down and we want the windows to be shut, a little dark. We want to lie down. She said, should I play some music? I said, if you have, yes, you can. So she played a light meditative music. The children lied down. And when the bell rung, the period got over. So she stopped the things and she said, yes, your 40 minutes of me time are done. They woke up, and then before leaving, they said, we are feeling very light. Thank ma'am for this. And we are expecting again a me time. And please tell her we are very happy with this. It has made us feel very light. And when the children were moving down the stairs, there was one child who stopped and who spoke to her, ma'am, since ma'am has asked you to listen, would you like to listen to my things? She said, yes, child, I'm there to listen. So she sat down with him, she listened, and to our utter surprise, the child was having suicidal suicidal tendencies. And she dug deeper. She was also a counselor. So she tried to look into the thing. She brought it to my notice. So we together handled the issue and we were able to save the child. And we were able to even talk to the parents because it was a disruptive family. And there were issues. And the child was feeling pressured from both the sides. Nobody to connect to, taking all the toxicness. And with the pressures of the board, the child was failing into his own. So he was getting like as if I'm empty from inside and I have nowhere to go. So that listening, led him to come out. And that me time gave them that strength to get lightened up.
I think I'm still in that zone, understanding that, what do children need? There were no rules whatsoever and they could do anything. What they choose to do was catharsis of their emotions by, screaming or crawling. These are all forms of, expressing your emotions through movement, some kind of movement. And, they were given very little space, on only 40 minutes. And in 40 minutes, they could experience so much. They felt so lighter and we could actually identify this child with suicidal ideation. This is beyond words what a little freedom can do to these children. This is
you need
amazing.
to that emotional freedom, and you need to release that. You need to free them from their emotions, and it's important to address to emotions. And if emotions are locked, it's like energy in motion, and if it is locked somewhere, it will create that catharsis. It will create that issues and problems. So that's why, even when you go to counselors or psychiatrists or others, they ask you to open up.
Yes.
They ask you to talk because that emotions have to be unlocked. So until and unless the energy is in motion, you will be facing such trouble. So energy has to be in motion. If energy gets locked, you'll face all kind of problems. Mental issues are manifested to physical ailments.
Yes, we always talk about psychosomatic disorders.
It's all mental issues which lead to this kind of ailments. You have those pseudo dementias and all, which are nothing but from mental issues, they get manifested to physically.
Yes. And I think you being a leader, being aware about these things make a huge difference, while you are making policies or making changes in the school system. Now that you're aware, I think the decisions are and the rules are more children inclusive that way. So I really appreciate
For my
that.
policy, whatever I make it a point that my children are a part of it. So my school core is always the one whom I talk in conversation. I mean, I'm always in conversation with them. I talk to them on regular basis. They have to be, representing the student community. So they'll have to come and speak to me about, we try to work out together to solutions. So that's how we do it.
Amazing, ma'am. And I think with all of this happening, the major attention is towards children. How do you think you make your teachers emotionally intelligent that way, so that they can cater to the children's needs, and they have got a life at home as well, and then balancing? How do you make sure it's happening?
I always say to my teachers that if you feel you're not emotionally, that balanced on a particular day, don't enter the class. You'll do damage more than what productive work you will be into.
Absolutely.
So please don't enter the class that way. And yes, I mean, no school is exclusion where you find that everything is good and good. There are incidents when you face such issues, such problems, that the teacher has lost a balance and she has scolded a child or been a little violent with the children, although violence is no more
Yes, of
acceptable
course.
and it's not there. But then even, when you are little, quirky with your words, that also make a huge dent on the
Absolutely.
esteem of the child, self-esteem. So you need to be very, very careful. So there what we do is we have kind of rejuvenation corners, I say to my teachers, to build up. And those rejuvenation corners are like, the scope given to the teachers, that if in your free period you just want to go and learn dance, go and learn it. If you want to go and learn music, go and do it. If you, we have like, specially curated programs for their well-being, like nowadays, they are doing yoga sessions, and the teachers, all of them, they are into yoga. And then we have kind of sports activities for them, we have theater activities for them, we have
good.
cinema, we go together. And for me, cinema, if we are moving out for a movie show, then it's a whole school. It's just not my teaching staff, my non-teaching staff, my drivers, conductors, IRs, PNs, sweepers, all of them are there with me, and we do it together. And then even for, when they did this dance, they opened it like anybody who is free, come and join us for the dance practice. And it happened so that a team of female teachers, they took up that dance and they presented it on the holy day.
Wow.
And it was a holy when we were celebrating, and they performed their dance. And we were like so happy to see different teachers from different subjects learned a particular dance and they're performing. And since the male teachers were not there and the male staff, so they said, now the next time, ma'am, it's a challenge for us.
Yes.
What they did on a Baisakhi day, they prepared. And that included the sweepers, the drivers, the non-teaching staff and the teaching staff of the male members, and they performed the dance. And I was like, okay, that's wonderful. So you took up the challenge and they did it.
This broke all the stereotypes.
Yes, there was no stereotype there. Everybody treated that with respect. We are all working here, so in different designations and forms, that doesn't make me lesser than you. So it's all like, it's inclusive, it's all together. So now they were like coming up with some of the competitions, and then we have our day out together. And then small rejuvenation boxes where you have your mentors, you can go and talk to them. You can, even if you want to get counseled, you can go. And then, the school society is always a very complex society. So if you have your hierarchies of, hierarchical centers of influence, you also have informal centers of influence.
Yes.
So whereby, they are able to kind of handhold each other, talk to, and if they are facing some kind of issues which they are not able to resolve, they send them to me. So we try to find out solutions together. So they don't feel that they are just left out. They feel that there is somebody whom they can always relate to, and there's somebody who can listen to them and find solutions. So that's what brings in a balance. Of course, workloads are very high, and they are high everywhere.
Yes.
Because our education system is in the mode of evolvement. And then it has become imperative for all of us to grow up and, to catch up to that level. So we understand the challenges, but then we'll have to be there for each other so that we don't fall out. We are together and we have those rejuvenation times together. We try to kind of steal away some pockets of happiness.
That is really commendable, I should say. I mean, creating such an inclusive space for the children, for the teachers, and the non teaching staff as well, along with maintaining good education standards and mental health. Wow, that is some kind of leadership, you are doing. That this is amazing. And I think now that we are talking about leadership, coming to our point, what do you think of Eduthon this year? Are you excited for Eduthon?
Yeah, because Eduthon, gives us a platform where you are able to connect to many people, listen to their perspectives, broaden your own vision, and then bring in some kind of reflection and try to mark a step higher to what you are doing.
Perfect. And how do you think, being at Eduthon helps you take tangible actions and decision in terms of mental health or interacting with different leaders from different schools? How does that help you in curating, let's say, some rules for your school or action taking in your school?
These kind of platforms gives you a scope of collaboration.
Absolutely,
right?
Yes.
So when you collaborate with people, you bring in a broader vision. You're able to look at a big picture, not from just your side, but from different perspectives. And that's where this kind of platforms help you grow up also. And otherwise, you cannot be just a frog in a well.
Absolutely.
Right? When you are exposed to a wider element and the wider faculty is when you feel that, okay, and the more you learn, you feel you're very small still.
Absolutely.
The smaller you feel, the more
yes,
you learn.
Yes, we can
and
definitely, it's not a thing that we can grow alone.
We don't grow in isolation. We grow together.
Absolutely.
And that's what I always say, that even as a leader, if I have grown, it's not in isolation. It's with the people who have contributed to it. So I have grown with them.
Perfect. So one thing that makes you always look forward to Eduthon, or one thing that you would want this year to happen?
A lot of learning.
Absolutely.
A lot of learning.
I think from where you come, learning is your core.
Yes.
You are a learner more than you are a teacher, a leader, an educator. You are a learner by heart.
So COVID has proved that.
Yes.
We'll have to be learners, otherwise we cannot survive.
Absolutely.
Yes. And the more you learn, you feel the smaller you are and you have to learn more and more. There are people who are doing wonderful work, and there are people who are like, facing more challenges than yours. So you feel that you're able to connect to, you're able to relate, you're able to kind of, be self-kind also at times. So that is all what these platforms give us. And of course, good networking. That's there.
Absolutely, very important. I think this was very wholesome for me because I could not imagine you being so calm and then giving me so much of information I'm still, struggling with to retain. So I think it was really informative for all the viewers. I think ma'am has taught us how to be calm and how to be a good learner, a good listener, how to manage a school. She has told us so many anecdotes, and I think we'll be able to, take away something from today's podcast. So thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll see you in the next episode of Mentally Yours, presented by Mehfooz by Simran, co-presented by Eduthon. Till then, take care of your mental health the way you take care of your physical health.